Good morning. I'm the registrar of this university. My name is Inaugural. I'll direct the program for today. But before we go into any remarks, I wish to invite Reverend Father Dr. Mudumedi to begin with an opening prayer.
Please remain seated until you are asked to stand for prayer. We will start first by reading from the sacred scriptures. John chapter 14, verses 5 to 6. Jesus said to his disciples, "Where I am going, you know the way." Thomas said to him, "Master, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" Jesus said to him, "I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Dear colleagues, God communicates himself through our Lord Jesus Christ, his word, which became flesh so that it could be audible and appeal to our senses. God, through Jesus Christ today, says to us, he is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life. Truth is the object of our intellects. Our minds seek the truth and nothing but the truth. Truth draws our minds as a magnet draws metal. As an institution of higher learning, NUL, we are in constant search for truth in our daily endeavors, yearly business. Scientific inquiry that takes place here in various ways, in the forms of seminars, conferences, dissertation defenses, and indeed in events such as today's, the inaugural lectures, are all intended to satiate our unquenchable thirst for truth. Maybe we, like Thomas, we did not know that as we are searching for truth, we are indeed searching for God himself. Such inquiry is, in fact, an innate search for God, who reveals himself as the very truth we are seeking so ardently, the way and the life that we seek. So we are on the right track, searching for God with today's inaugural lecture. We are searching for God. We are searching for the truth. Shall we stand and pray for the blessing? Heavenly Father, may you bless this august event, our inaugural lecture we have convened here this morning. Help us through it to savor the sweetness of the truth, which ultimately will direct our thoughts, our minds, our hearts, and feet on the way to you, our God. Satiate our innate desire for you, the truth. More importantly, bless our distinguished presenter, Professor Beatrice Ekanjume. make her your vehicle to convey and disseminate your word of wisdom and truth to us this morning. Make her your sharpened instrument for the dissemination of the truth today. She is our very own institutional pride. Fill and imbue her with your wisdom, knowledge, and courage to do a marvelous job of opening our minds and satiating our thirst for truth. We, the listeners, the audience, may we be blessed with minds open to hear the dictates of the Holy Spirit pouring out through her lips, constantly guiding us to the whole truth. We make this prayer through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you, and the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Father. I have already said good morning to you all, but it doesn't hurt to say it again. Good morning. I'm saying good morning to the Vice Chancellor. Are you here? Professor Fajan.
Present, man.
Did you hear my good morning?
Good morning.
I'm saying good morning to the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Musito. I'm saying good morning to the officers of the university, the BEZA, the university librarian who are here. And I can't miss the former registrar. She's at the back there. I took over from her. Thank you for coming, May. I'm saying good morning to our distinguished Professor Ekanjume. I'm saying good morning to our own Professor Mloime. We are happy you're here. Professor Mloi is the respondent for today's lecture. I'm saying good morning to the faculty staff members who are here and all university staff and students. I'm saying good morning to the family and friends of Professor Ekanjume, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all our guests present here today, and those who are joining us across our various social media platforms. We are trying to be relevant, Prof. Ekanjume. We are excited to be celebrating this 5th annual inaugural lecture. I'm not sure who the 5 are, but I'm sure of the last 2 that I observed since I took office in 2015. And I'm sure of the 3rd one today. I'm searching. I think I might have found the 4th, our very own Prof. Moloi. PVC will tell me who number 5 is, because Prof. Moloi presented her inaugural lecture and the other 5th while I was not yet in NUL. But if I'm counting 3, since I joined NUL in 2015, it's been a long time, 9 years ago. That gives us an average of 1 inaugural lecture. How many years? I see Dean Force is not here to do the maths, but the answer to that is not pleasing. That is a frequency which, as the National University of Lesotho, we need to increase. We need to increase that frequency because it is critical for a university to provide a platform like this for the dissemination of outcomes of research conducted by outstanding scholars upon the attainment of their highest academic profile in their academic lives. Remember, professorial level is the highest any academic can achieve. And today's lecture will put a spotlight on the scholarly works of Professor Ekanjume and her contribution to her field of study and her work in the academia. But as we celebrate this distinguished professor, we also wish to congratulate the Faculty of Humanities of the National University of Lesotho. Don't ask me why. Well, if you want to ask, let me answer. Professor Ekanjume is a professor of linguistics in the Faculty of Humanities. And looking back in the records I hold, we'll remember that 2 of the most recent inaugural lectures were presented by professors from the Faculty of Humanities. Okay. These were Professor Taban from the Department of Historical Studies, Professor Manus from the Department of Theology and Religious Studies, and now I know Professor Mloi also from the same faculty. I choose not to dissect the faculty statistics any further, even though I was tempted to. I think my insertion of Professor Mloi in that trio makes me comfortable, and I will not dissect. As we continue to recalibrate the quality and relevance of our research at this university and our visibility, we cannot afford to have professors whose research work we don't see nor hear about. I'm sure NUL professors in all faculties and institutes will take a page from this book written by the Faculty of Humanities. I'm almost certain that the next announcement for an inaugural lecture, PVC, will be coming from either FOST or FSS or education. The rest will follow closely. I won't line them up. Although I'm not a linguist per se, I understand the importance of communication. And I know that we all do. But whether just understanding the importance of communication is enough is a different story. I hope Professor Ekanjume will dissect the importance of communication and whether it is just enough just to understand. I don't think so. Today, Professor Ekanjume who is an expert in linguistics, will enlighten us on the importance of communication. She will discuss the process of communication and the effect of communication on the performance of organizations, particularly institutions of higher learning. She will provide us with an in-depth review of why African universities must have clearly defined communication strategies and why universities need to be present, visible, and active on social media. I anticipate a very revealing and exciting lecture on the topic recontextualizing communication, leveraging social media to effect transformation change in African universities. At this juncture, Vice Chancellor, members of the academia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to end my remarks and invite the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Ekanjume, to introduce and present the speaker for today. Professor.
Thank you very much, Madam Registrar and Master of Ceremonies. Madam MC, Mr. Vice Chancellor, the executive and senior management of the university, distinguished full and associate professors of the university, the academic and non-academic staff of the university, members of the Ekanjume and Ilongo families here present, and those joining us online, invited guests, and in particular, Professor Francina Mulou, here present. We appreciate your attendance. Dear ladies and gentlemen, my task is a relatively simpler one. It is to introduce our bride for today. Professor Beatrice Ekanjume Ilongo is a holder of a PhD in linguistics from the University of Yaoundé, Cameroon. She obtained with a distinction. Following a Bachelor of Arts and 2 master's degrees from the same university, she also holds a postgraduate diploma in higher education from the National University of Lesotho, where she is currently a full professor. Professor Beatrice Ekanjume, affectionately also known as Prof B, has served at different universities, including the University of Yaoundé in Cameroon, where she started her academic career as a graduate assistant in 2000, before moving to the University of Burundi in 2003 as a lecturer. She joined the National University of Lesotho in 2007 and has served NUL in various capacities, including Head of Department of English for 3 terms, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities for 2 terms, Acting Pro-Vice Chancellor on several occasions, especially the long-acting appointment of June 19 to August 2021. Member of the 13th and 14th Council, amongst others. She also serves on various committees and bodies of the university. Professor B has extensive and impressive national and international research experience and standing, having attended over 50 international and local conferences where she presented papers and chaired some of the presentation sessions. She has experience in organizing conferences, workshops, and seminars. Having spearheaded the organization of a Florilegium in honor of Professor Francina Molloy, the first postgraduate conference in the Faculty of Humanities, the first 3 L's, which you may remember: language, linguistics, and literature. Conference at NUL, among others, including several workshops and seminars. Professor B is an academic citizen. She serves as an external examiner to several universities, among which are the University of South Africa, UNISA, the University of Namibia, Northwest University, University of Zambia, the University of Fort Hare, University of Eswatini, and the Charisma University in the United States of America. He is a member of the editorial board of over 10 accredited and peer-reviewed journals and reviews. She has also established collaborative ventures at both personal and international levels for the benefit of the National University of Lesotho. She is a member of the following professional bodies: the African Development and Educational Research Association, NDERA, African Languages Association of Southern Africa, ALASA, African Linguist Network, NAMES Society of Southern Africa, AILA, African Applied Linguistics and Literacy in Africa and the Diaspora, Linguistic Association of SADC Universities, ASA, or LASU as others would call it, Cameroon Association of African Linguistics, and West African Linguistics Society, WALS. Professor Ekanjume is an acclaimed researcher. The reason why we are here, and the reason why we have decided to put aside whatever we have to do to attend this lecture today.
She has published 35 journal articles, 5 chapters in books, 3 books, and several conference proceedings. It is worth mentioning that she has supervised 8 to 9 PhDs, and 21 master's dissertations. She also serves as a mentor to young academics
and her students. Some of Professor B's publications, which are related to the topic of her inaugural lecture today, include photographic analysis of social media discourse, the case of WhatsApp message or messages of undergraduate students at the National University of Lesotho, which she co-published with Associate Professor Maboleba Kolobe this year in 2023. Analysis of COVID-19 neologisms by Facebook users, the case of Basotho netizens, nationals of networks, which she co-published with Dr. Thuso Luisa in 2022. A discourse interpretation of digitally mediated texts as transformation tools among selected WhatsApp users, which she co-published with Dr. Adesami T.O. in 2019. An explanation of social relevance and language functions in the display pictures of selected subscribers, which he published in 2018. The impact of effective communication with the family, which he published in 2012. Socio-pragmatic study of the use of email by NUL students, which she published in 2011. A socio-linguistic survey of the use of SMS text messages among NUL academic staff, which she published in 2009. Professor B is a seasoned lecturer who is admired for her scholarly approach to teaching and learning. She is a dedicated, resourceful, goal-driven professor with a solid commitment to the academic growth and development of students. She efficiently guides undergraduate and postgraduate students through their studies and stimulates them to become the best versions of themselves. Not only academically qualified, but also has what it takes he has what it takes to motivate students, encourage participation, and create a conducive learning environment for the students. Prof B provides guidance in the areas of program development, curriculum review, and program accreditation. He is innovative, flexible, and up to date with current trends in her field. Why should I bore you more? Ladies and gentlemen, let me stop here and
Seize this opportunity to invite our bride to come over and make a presentation.
Not a PhD. As you were talking, I was wondering if it is me you are still talking about. It's like you did a good homework. Thank you so much for those kind and generous words. Dr. VC, let me align myself to the protocol that the PVC and the registrar have observed. And let me say good morning to you all. I'm so excited to be here. It's a mixture of excitement and anxiety. This is a lecture that I had wished to offer sometime in 2020, about a year or so after my promotion. Because, of course, when we say inaugural lectures, these are lectures that should come just like a year or two after you have been promoted. There shouldn't be several years after. Otherwise, there won't be inaugural anymore. They may become something else. But unfortunately, while I was preparing for that lecture, COVID happened. And we all know the inconveniences that were caused by COVID. So even though I'm not sure if COVID ended yesterday, and that is why I'm presenting today, but I just want to conveniently put all the blames on COVID. Mr. Vice Chancellor, an inaugural lecture is an opportunity that is given to professors to showcase their academic and research activities and also increase their academic visibility. And I'm very honored and humbled to have been given such an opportunity. I am aware that professors use this opportunity to expound past, their present, and future research endeavors. Allow me to deviate from this norm and deal with a topic which is of interest to me and which I also think is of contemporary interest. The topic of today's lecture: recontextualizing communication, leveraging social media to effect transformational change in African universities. It's a product of cultural exertion, cognitive imagination, life experiences, as well as the tutelage from formal and informal situations. Ladies and gentlemen, this lecture is divided into 7 sections. The first one is the introduction, where I will be giving a general background about communication in general. And then we have the art of communicating effectively, where I will be speaking to the concept of effective communication and institutional benefits that come with this kind of communication. I will also be looking at the skills for effective communication and a brief review of a few theories of communication, and try to look at how social media and artificial intelligence are affecting or are changing and reconditioning effective communication. And finally, that section will look at what effective communication should mean. Then we have section 3, which looks at communication and transformational change in universities. And here I will be looking at transformational change. I'll be looking at the need for effective communication in universities. I'll also be looking at how information flows in universities. And then we have social media and global communication, where I will try to trace the evolution of global communication and also try to see how social media is recontextualizing global communication. Then we have social media for strategic communication in universities. And here we will be looking at strategic communication in universities and how social media and strategic communication go hand in hand. And then we will try to narrow it down to the case of higher education institutions in research. And that will take us to the last part, which will be the conclusion. So by way of introduction, communication is the process of creating and ascribing meaning. It is the interaction and sharing of ideas among individuals or group members. Many of us communicate with many people, be it in person or various that are available to us through social media. But one question remains: when we communicate, how much of our communication actually reaches the intended audience or persons the way we hoped? Like the registrar was saying, when we understand communication, is that sufficient? When we communicate, do we think by speaking the words that we have used, we have actually communicated? So we will try to see the answers of all of those as we go through this lecture. Being an effective communicator in one's professional and personal lives involves learning the skills to exchange information with clarity, empathy, and understanding. For communication to be effective, it must take into consideration the 5 C's of communication, which are clarity, correctness, completeness, conciseness, and compassion. Effective communication thus requires that we exchange ideas, thoughts, opinions, knowledge, and data in a way that will allow our message to be perceived and understood with clarity and purpose. When we communicate effectively, both the sender and the receiver feel satisfied. While the effectiveness of communication can be difficult to measure, its impact is hard to deny. According to one study, surveyed companies in the United States and United Kingdom, with at least 100,000 employees, lost $62.4 million per year on average due to poor communication. On the flip side, companies led by effective communicators had nearly 50% higher total returns. The benefits of communication effectiveness can be witnessed in the workplace, in an educational setting, and in the lives of individuals. Learning how to communicate well can be a boon in each of these areas. In the workplace, for instance, effective communication can help in managing employees and building strong teams, grow the institution more rapidly, retain employees, benefit from enhanced creativity and innovation, and build strong relationships that attract more opportunities for the institution. In the area of personal life, effective communication can lead to improved social, emotional, and mental health, deeper existing connections, new bonds based on transparency and accountability, and better problem solving and conflict resolutions. Despite these facts, communication is facing challenges in recent times with the emergence of artificial intelligence and various social media platforms. The AI and social media have brought a new wave of complexity and irregularities in communication, which sometimes leaves much to be desired. This is even more complex when it comes to institutions of higher learning. Nowadays, communication and information technologies in general, and Web 2.0 technologies in particular, have become the first concern of young people as well as adults, notably in the university milieu. Social networks have taken the lead in terms of number of users on all continents. Since 2010, the African continent has recorded an explosion in the use of mobile phones, gravitating around 65%, according to the International Telecommunications Union report of 2018. The mobile phone has thus become an essential tool for internet users who wish to have access to technological innovations, communicate with their friends, and share diverse contents. Despite this, in the field of digitalization and acceptance of technologies, African universities are seriously behind the movement of their counterparts in Europe, the USA, and Asia. Research has shown that European and American universities are widely in the lead in terms of marketing strategies and communication via social media. Social media has taken over the African world and education for more than a decade. Sometimes universities, institutes, and training centers try to create some kind of social media intending to simplify communication, coordinate learning, as well as exchanges with relevant stakeholders. Social media has demonstrated its strength in connecting several stakeholders, including students to each other, teachers to themselves, and students and teachers, as well as all entities in the university and external stakeholders. In the face of these developments, very few African universities have communication strategies and are present on social media, whereas Africa has one of the highest rates of social media usage, given that young people are strongly represented. We cannot deny the fact that social media is exponentially invading many African societies, and education is mostly affected. However, for many African institutions, social media is limited to entertainment and friendly exchanges. The strategic communication aspect is completely neglected. Mr. Vice Chancellor, having given that background, I would like us to look at the art of communicating effectively at the workplace. Effectively communicating with others is crucial to implant purpose into the workplace. One's purpose is put at the heart of any organization or institution. There is usually a cultural shift from doing business as usual, which may even lead to some positive change in all stakeholders. As with all significant changes, it is vital to communicate in inspiring, authentic, and engaging ways to all stakeholders. Communicating effectively changes the behavior of others towards support and loyalty, and even to embrace change, which is something that is very difficult to embrace. Embedding a new purpose in an institution is an iterative and continuous process, and it often takes time for a change to be felt across the board. Communicating such a purpose effectively, therefore, becomes imperative. This requires university leaders to ensure that expectations of leadership teams are well managed and that they are supported with the necessary communication tools. Above all, the communications strategy and process for embedding new purposes should be clearly defined with a series of specific tactical steps to ensure effective communication at the workplace. Communication is an inseparable aspect of daily life, and we cannot live without communicating with others, be it through in-person communication or social media platforms. However, effective communication is something that needs to be dealt with properly. By definition, effective communication is the process of exchanging or transmitting ideas, information, thoughts, knowledge, data, opinion, or messages from the sender through a selected channel to the receiver with a purpose that can be understood with clarity. The purpose of effective communication is a cyclic process that begins with the speaker and also ends with the speaker when the speaker receives the feedback from the receiver. While the effectiveness of communication can vary, it affects professional areas in various ways. As institutions of higher learning, effective communication is vital because it can help in building and managing an efficient team, as well as in enhancing innovation and creativity. Through effective communication, universities are able to retain more and more sincere employees, build strong relationships among employees, increase the engagement of employees at their work, and also establish responsibility towards their team. With effective communication, decisions can be easily made and discussions that are goal-oriented carried out, leading to increased stakeholder satisfaction. Communicating with a person is a skill as well as an art that comes with experience and constant practice. The more we speak, the more we communicate, the more we improve on our communication skills. However, there are some predetermined skills that are known to be the key to effective communication. And these includes, in the interest of time, I'm just going to list them. We have sharp observational skills. There is clarity and brevity, listening and understanding, emotional intelligence, self-efficacy, self-confidence, respectfulness, selection of the right medium, and providing feedback. Communication is one of the major concerns at the workplace. Creating and maintaining a positive work environment comes with effective workplace communication. Often, effective communication defines organizational goals and helps co-workers to collaborate. This is a step towards a fundamental practice for a committed and productive workforce. Communication is invaluable in providing services that tackle education, health concerns, development and poverty alleviation, the fight for social justice, and non-discrimination, etc. Beyond the words, phrases, and literal characters, communication transcends cleavages, geo-anthropological differences, and political affiliations. The language of communication is love, respect, and human dignity. Therefore, this lecture advances that higher education institutions in Africa must consider effective communication as one of their top priorities. Their communication must go beyond promoting the university's opportunity to potential new students, the pursuit of potential donors, and outreach to policymakers, to engaging all aspects of internal academic life and seeking the engagement of the larger society. Increasingly, higher education has to defend its purpose, integrity, and legitimacy in a climate of growing neo-nationalist and populist movements. A comprehensive communication plan should therefore include a deep revision of the university's core values and practices, better teaching and learning strategies, as well as modern internal and external communication tools, including all sorts of social media. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to better understand the art of communicating effectively, it is necessary for us to look at some of the theories that are behind the concept of effective communication. Communication is a complex process, but models and theories of communication help us to simplify the process by providing a visual representation of the various aspects of a communication encounter. Behind the art of communication lies a rich landscape of theories and models that help us to better comprehend its intricacies. Understanding these theories does not only enhance communication skills, but also provides valuable insights into how information is shared, interpreted, and processed. 5 of these models or theories are presented in this lecture to help provide the necessary guidance for effective communication. The first one is the transmission model of communication, which stands as a cornerstone theory in the field of communication, shedding light on the fundamental elements of communication. This model presents communication as a linear process, including a sender, a message, and a receiver. So the sender encodes a message, passes it through a particular channel, and the receiver decodes that message. The model emphasizes the importance of clarity and accuracy in conveying information. By understanding the basics of this model, we gain insights into the sequential flow of information and the essential components that contribute to effective message delivery. While this model provides a fundamental or foundational understanding of communication, it has its limitations and criticisms. One of them being that it considers communication as a one-way process: speaker, channel, and listener. But like I said before, the communication begins with the speaker and ends with the speaker. So it is not a linear process. Despite its limitations, it offers practical applications in various contexts. In professional settings, understanding this model can help individuals refine their message delivery, ensuring that information is transmitted clearly and effectively. Then we have the social learning theory of communication, which delves into the role of observational learning in shaping our communication skills and behaviors. It posits that individuals acquire and refine their communication abilities through observation, imitation, and modeling of others. So this theory is more or less like Skinner's behaviorist theory. According to the theory, social reinforcement plays a significant role in shaping our communication choices. Positive reinforcement encourages the adoption of effective communication strategies, while negative reinforcement discourages ineffective or inappropriate behaviors. This implies that by observing and imitating individuals who employ clear, respectful, and impactful communication, we can enhance our own communication skills and foster positive social interactions. Applying the social learning theory of communication requires conscious awareness and active engagement in the learning process. By recognizing the influence of social reinforcement, we can evaluate our own communication choices and behaviors. Through self-reflection and assessment, we can identify areas for improvement and work actively on adopting more effective communication strategies. There is also the coordinated management of meaning theory, which explores the intricate process of meaning construction in communication. According to this theory, communication involves not only the transmission of information, but also co-creation and navigation of shared realities. It assumes that two individuals who are engaged in an interaction each constructs their own interpretation and perception of what the conversation means, and later negotiates a common understanding of meaning by coordinating with each other. CMM emphasizes the role of context in shaping meaning, acknowledging that communication is profoundly influenced by cultural norms, social rules, and situational dynamics. By considering the context in which communication occurs, we can attune ourselves to the multiple layers of meaning embedded in our interactions. This heightened awareness enables us to navigate diverse cultural landscapes, adapt our communication style accordingly, and foster understanding and fruitful collaborations. By recognizing the collaborative nature of meaning making, we can approach communication with a mindset of openness, curiosity, and willingness to understand different perspectives. One of the things that bars effective communication is when people fail to see things from the perspective of others, and this theory helps us to deal with that. The theory underscores the importance of recognizing and respecting diverse interpretations, as well as engaging in dialogue to clarify and reconcile differing viewpoints. If we have different viewpoints, it doesn't mean we should fight. We can reconcile those viewpoints by listening to each other and discussing things. Now we have the cognitive dissonance theory, which explores the psychological tension that arises when individuals hold conflicting beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors. According to this theory, the discomfort caused by the cognitive dissonance motivates individuals to reduce the inconsistency and restore a sense of internal harmony. It delves into the processes by which individuals rationalize change or modify their beliefs and behaviors to align with self-perception. This theory suggests that humans have a natural drive to seek consistency and coherence in their thoughts and behaviors. When confronted with conflicting information, individuals experience a state of cognitive dissonance, which generates psychological tension. Recognizing this conflict prompts individuals to actively seek solutions and reduce the dissonance through various cognitive and behavioral processes. The theory suggests that individuals may resolve cognitive dissonance by changing their beliefs or behaviors. This can involve actively seeking new information or adopting new attitudes that align with their existing actions, or adjusting their behaviors to align with their beliefs. By making these changes, individuals reduce the conflict and achieve a state of internal consistency. Cognitive dissonance theory has significant implications for communication and persuasion. Recognizing that individuals are motivated to reduce cognitive dissonance, communicators can strategically utilize persuasive techniques to influence attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Presenting information that challenges pre-existing beliefs or introducing inconsistencies that create dissonance can prompt individuals to reevaluate their positions and potentially adopt new attitudes or behaviors that align with the desired message. By understanding cognitive dissonance, communicators can effectively craft persuasive messages that leverage this theory to promote behavioral change and attitude shift. And finally, we have the diffusion of innovations theory, which explores how new ideas, products, or practices spread and are adopted within a society. This theory examines the factors that influence the diffusion process, identifying key elements that contribute to the successful adoption of innovations. By understanding the diffusion of innovations, we can gain insights into the dynamics of change and the factors that shape the adoption or rejection of new ideas. Communication channels play a critical role in the diffusion of innovations theory. The theory highlights the importance of interpersonal networks, mass media, social media, and other communication channels in disseminating information about innovations. These channels are conduits for transmitting knowledge, influencing opinions, and facilitating the adoption process. Effective communication strategies, including persuasive messaging and engaging storytelling, can help bridge information gaps, create awareness, and generate interest in innovations, ultimately fostering adoption and diffusion. From the foregoing, one can argue that although communication models may not be complex enough to truly capture all that takes place in a communication encounter, they can help us examine the various steps in the process in order to better understand our communication and that of others. In the realm of communication, the above theories act as beacons, guiding us through the complex pathways of effective interaction. From the linear structure of the transmission model to the intricate layers of the meaning construction theory in CMM, each theory brings forth valuable knowledge and perspectives. By delving into the realms of social learning, cognitive dissonance, and the diffusion of innovations, we uncover the mechanisms that shape our communication landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to look at how artificial intelligence and social media can affect all what we have said about effective communication. Human communication is a social interaction process and is an essential part of our daily life. It is fundamental to the existence and survival of mankind. Effective communication between individuals, organizations, institutions, and even families is critical for providing safe and quality life, education, healthcare, etc. It is crucial for communicating successfully with others and enables people to build and maintain relationships and accomplish goals, objectives, and tasks. However, with the advent of artificial intelligence and the great progress witnessed in the late decade with social media, a new question has emerged, which is, how will humans beat the perfection of communication between AI systems and the effect of social media on communication? So let's begin with artificial intelligence. Given the rising importance of digital communication, individuals, organizations, institutions, businesses, etc., are increasingly turning to artificial intelligence to optimize their internal communication procedures. AI, which is artificial intelligence, refers to the development of computer programs that can perform tasks typically require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and language translation. AI involves using algorithms and statistical models to enable computers to learn from data, recognize patterns, and make decisions based on the input received. Unlike traditional softwares that follow pre-programmed instructions, AI can continually analyze and modify its processes based on new data, making it more flexible and versatile. The increasing capacities of AI systems to learn non-stop and flawlessly transfer knowledge, regardless of complexity, will have a profound impact on humanity. As AI becomes more advanced, it will transform industries and lead to unprecedented levels of efficiency and productivity. However, it also raises questions about the future of work ethics and the role of humans in a world increasingly dominated by machines. While AI has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems, it is crucial that we approach its development and implementation with caution and responsibility to ensure that its benefits are well for the betterment of the society. Let us take a scenario by thinking about the knowledge transfer between a professor and a student. Regardless of the cognitive abilities of these two individuals, irrespective of the skills that they have, the knowledge transfer from a professor to a student can never be complete. The professor can never claim to be able to transfer everything they know to the student. And even if they did, there is no guarantee that the student will assimilate everything that the professor is transferring. This is because the knowledge transfer process is dependent on several factors, including the amount of time that the professor spends together with the student, as well as the pedagogical techniques that are used. For humans, the complexity of transfer of knowledge increases with the complexity of the knowledge to be transferred. This is, however, not the case with AI. For AI, the more complex the knowledge is, the better AI transmits that knowledge. So there is a serious challenge that we have at hand. AI is reforming various industries, including internal communication within companies, organizations, and institutions. AI technology is gaining popularity in the business world due to its various advantages. On the one hand, the adoption of AI-powered communication tools can enhance the speed, accuracy, and efficiency of communication within organizations. AI can help companies analyze and interpret large volumes of data, providing valuable insights into communication patterns, employee engagement, and organizational performance. Incorporating AI into internal communication can have significant benefits for organizations, which includes faster and more accurate communication, automation of routine tasks, and improved organizational performance. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, the adoption of AI in internal communication also presents some challenges. The use of AI-powered communication tools may lead to concerns around data privacy and security. As AI systems collect and analyze large volumes of data, there is a risk that sensitive information could be compromised, potentially leading to reputational damage for the institution. There are worries that AI will result in job displacement, loss of human touch, and privacy concerns, especially when it comes to sensitive data, as I mentioned. Despite these concerns, AI has made communication more accessible in several ways, from virtual assistants and chatbots to language translation and personalized communications. By breaking down language barriers, improving accessibility, and automating routine tasks, AI is helping to create a more connected and efficient world. The question that remains is whether or not effective communication still means what traditional definitions provided before the advent of AI, and whether or not humans will be able to communicate effectively among or amidst the AI functions. Now let's look at effective communication and social media. Social media is a collective term for websites and applications that focus on communication, community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. This implies that social media are interactive technologies that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, interests, and other forms of expression through virtual communities and networks. More than 4.7 billion people around the world use social media. That is how popular it is. The term social media the term social in regard to media suggests that platforms are user-centric and enable communal activity. As such, social media can be viewed as online facilitators or enhancers of human networks. Users usually access social media services through web-based apps on desktop or download services that offer social media functionality on their mobile devices. As users engage with these electronic devices or services, they create highly interactive platforms in which individuals, communities, and organizations can share, co-create, discuss, participate, and modify user-generated or self-curated content. Additionally, social media are used to document memories, learn about and explore things, and form friendships among with others with the growth of ideas. This changing relationship between humans and technology is the focus of the emerging field of technological self-studies. The rapid growth of Web 2.0 technologies has drastically changed the attitudes and habits of end users when using the internet. The digital revolution is taking up more and more space in several areas of everyday life. Social media has become a dynamic and convivial space, enabling conversations between online users, groups, virtual communities, etc., leading to development of many-to-many relationships. Effective communication is the cornerstone of any successful interaction be it in the physical or digital world. In light of altercations on social media, the principle of effective communication plays a crucial role in reducing conflicts and promoting healthy discourse. The use of social media can lead to positive outcomes and enhance communication skills if utilized appropriately. It is therefore necessary to observe the principles of effective communication during social media interactions. The first principle of effective communication is clarity. It is essential to express oneself clearly and concisely to avoid misinterpretation and misunderstandings. On social media, where messages can be easily taken out of context, being clear in one's conversation becomes even more imperative. When engaging in online discussions or debates, it is vital to stay on the topic and avoid making sweeping statements that can be misconstrued. We also have active listening as one of the skills or principles, which means paying attention to the words of the other person and trying to understand their point of view. It's not just listening for listening's sake, but trying to pay attention to the words and the point of view of the other person. It involves asking clarifying questions, paraphrasing the other person's statements, and acknowledging their feelings. When communicating on social media, active listening can be challenging as it is easy to get caught up with other things. Most often, you are chatting or even maybe chatting on text or whatever and doing something else at the same time. The issue of multitasking comes a lot when we are on social media, and it reduces the attention that we pay to the words and the views of the other person. Respect is another principle. It is important to treat others with respect, even if we disagree with their opinions. Most often when people say things that are not what we want to hear, we start giving them names and saying all sorts of things. Let's respect others' opinions, even if we don't agree with them. Name calling, personal attacks, and other forms of disrespectful behavior only serve to escalate conflict and make productive communication impossible. It is important to remember that the people we are engaging with on social media are real individuals with their own thoughts and feelings. We forget when we are on social media that that other person is actually a human being and not a phone that you are talking to. In addition, we have clarity. So we have clarity, we have active listening, we have respect for others, and then we have empathy. Empathy means putting oneself in the other person's shoes and trying to understand the feelings of that other person, the motivations of why that person is saying what they are saying at that particular moment. So we shouldn't be quick to analyze people's messages based on how we perceive them. We should always try to put ourselves first in the shoes of that person. Why is this person saying this at this time? So by knowing why that person might have said that at that particular time will condition the way you receive that message. So it involves acknowledging that everyone has their own unique experiences and perspectives that shape their beliefs and opinions. When communicating on social media, it can be easy to dismiss someone's point of view as misguided or ignorant. However, taking time to understand why someone holds a particular belief can lead to a more constructive and productive conversation. Finally, effective communication requires flexibility, which most of us don't have. It is the act of being willing to adjust your own communication style based on the needs of the situation. We are not saying that you must change completely and become somebody else. That based on the context, the situation, what is happening at that moment, you should be willing to change and move, be flexible. So in order for communication to be productive and constructive. On social media, this might mean recognizing when a discussion has become unproductive and choosing to disengage. When it is unproductive, there is no need for you to be responding with the same unproductive response. Just disengage and let it be there, you know. Or it is when you try to recognize someone else's opinion, that opinion has some merit in it. Even though it is not my opinion, I see merit in what this other person is saying, and therefore I am willing to change my own opinion to go along with this person's opinion because of the merit that I see in that person's opinion. Therefore, observing the principles of effective communication is crucial when engaging in discussion on social media. By being clear, actively listening, showing respect, being empathetic, and being flexible, we can promote healthy discourse and prevent conflicts from escalating. Effective communication is not always easy, especially in the fast-paced and often anonymous world of social media. However, by striving to communicate effectively, we can help create a more respectful and productive online community. Mr. Vice Chancellor, we've been talking about effective communication or communicating effectively. So I think we need to know what effective communication should mean. And I'll say that effective communication should mean that the ideas and concepts of an individual are being heard and that we are taking action upon them. When we hear the ideas and the concepts and opinions of others and take action, then we can say effective communication is taking place. But if somebody says something and we can't act on it, then it's not effective. It also means, or it should also mean that an individual is able to listen, understand, and take action on what other people say. So don't always think people have to listen to what you say and take action. You also should be able to listen to others, management, listen to the staff, and take action. It seems obvious that good communication will come naturally, but far too frequently, when we try to interact with others, something goes wrong somewhere. Misunderstandings, dissatisfactions, and disagreements happen when we say one thing and the other person perceives something different. The hard part about understanding what effective communication should be is that people often do not know that they are not communicating effectively. And that is where the problem lies. When I don't even know that I'm not communicating effectively, for instance, my message is not clear to the other person, but I think I have communicated. It goes back to answer what the registrar was saying. I think I have communicated, yet my message is not clear to the other person. So communication has actually not taken place because what went out was perceived differently from what I intended. It is therefore important for individuals to identify and eliminate possible communication bad habits so that they better connect with others and convey their meaning in a clear manner. Today, effective communication is more difficult than in the past because there are so many more ways to connect. People think that getting their points across will be easy, but it is not the case. This makes it crucial to develop effective communication skills to ensure that others understand what we say. With text messages, emails, instant messages, Slacks, Teams, and so on, the options to communicate are overwhelming. To keep up with the response to so many sources complicates the effective communication process. We find ourselves doing shortcuts here and there so that we can quickly, sometimes you open your phone and you have hundreds of messages that have flooded your phone, and to be able to reach out to everyone so that some don't get angry that you are not responding to them, then you take the short, how do you call it, the shortcut or whatever, and the communication is not what you would have otherwise intended. Okay, let me go to, because this is a long lecture, let me go to part 3. We have the booklet, so we can go through the lecture at our own convenient time and get more educated on some of the aspects that are there. I'll move to part 3, which speaks to communication and transformational change in universities. Communication is a fundamental responsibility of institutions of higher learning to connect, to engage, and actively participate in the public domain as a reliable and unbiased source of information. This is our mission. This is our mandate as higher education institutions. We are expected to educate the public with unbiased and reliable information. So when we speak out there as members of higher education institutions in Lesotho, we should know what we are saying. And we should know that what we are saying has something that it will do on the society. So higher education institution must engage the community with broader institutional goals and cultivate in students and staff the capacity to examine information critically. They must actively contribute to social recognition of neutral and evidence-based knowledge, informing the public and private sectors. On this score, universities are vicariously responsible for the advancement in communities. Talking about transformational change, this is the change that comes in response to or in anticipation of major irreversible changes in environment, technology, global or local policies. Such was the abolition of the slave trade, as we know, in the late 19th century, or women's suffrage at different times in different nations, or the current fight to stop climate disaster. These deep changes often are associated with significant revision of strategy, which in turn may require modifying internal structures and processes as well as its corporate culture to support the new direction. Even before COVID-19 pandemic, higher education institutions operating models were under tremendous pressure. COVID-19 came to intensify the pressures that higher education faces. Universities are experiencing significant declines in tuition, and auxiliary revenues, as well as increasing budget shortfalls. Student enrollment have greatly shrunk, and these institutions are suffocating under underlying structural concerns created by factors such as discrimination, financial constraints, and undue political influence in the academic space, just to name a few. I think the bursar knows more about this, and even the registrar. Some scholars have prescribed descriptive transformation as the way to change higher education, that AVC. This refers to a transformation approach that enables institutions to operate more flexibly and resiliently in the long term to support the emergence of institutions on a stronger footing from today's challenges and brace for those of the future. To achieve this goal, higher education institutions need to totally commit. They need a total commitment to innovative digital transformation. And this will require patient, careful work with staff, students, and other stakeholders if new higher education models are to take root and thrive. Digital technologies will transform how services are developed and delivered, including communication and funding models that will allow both service providers and learners to balance their budgets. These technologies are prompting universities to adopt remote and online training, create innovative learning spaces where learning is experimented and transform old-fashioned transcripts into blockchain technology to ensure that the content is understandable, reliable, controllable, and scalable. These solutions will take time to develop and even longer to show a payoff. However, some institutions are already developing initiatives better suited to the long-term needs of students in the post-pandemic normal. The success of such initiatives will rely mostly on how effectively they are communicated to the various stakeholders. Hence, effective communication and transformation go hand in hand. Talking to the issue of the need for effective communication in universities, as humans, we are drawn to one another and communicate with each other in various capacities. There are several roles that each individual fills on a daily basis, depending on the context of the interaction. What every interaction has in common is the need for clear and effective communication. There are several elements that are involved in creating and maintaining lasting and genuine relationships through communication, two of which are recognizing the body language and using effective listening skills. In correctly making use of these elements, one can see an improvement in the quality of social interactions, as well as increased confidence in engaging with others in the social space. These benefits can be essential tools in the work environment and build lasting relationships. Communication within universities is very important in that it helps in establishing trust with all stakeholders, especially staff and students, and ensuring that solidity of the institution's reputation is kept. It goes without saying that good communication is essential for a learning environment, any learning environment. As more universities are moving to a fluid learning platform, with some learners attending in person and others in online environment, the universities themselves have become platforms for outreach, engagement, and, of course, learning. Like any business, universities have customers who are the students. Mapping the students' journey across interactions is important to ascertain how well the university is meeting the needs of all students. Using complex information technology such as networks, print and document management systems, predictive analytics, and data analysis can help universities to better understand the needs of students and how to communicate effectively. Good communication helps drive core strategies such as student retention and helps integrate services for consistent quality and a better educational system. With the university or within the university, education is key to reaching goals successfully. Throughout the university, communication occurs and flows in different ways. When employees in different hierarchical levels interact, communication can flow upward to management or downward to the employees, diagonal to employees at different levels, horizontal across the same levels. In the university setting, we can have horizontal fertilization or horizontal communication between staff, between students, and between management. Similarly, we can have vertical communication between staff, students, and university management. Now, talking about horizontal communication, this refers to the interaction that occurs between individuals who work or engage at the same hierarchical level. This is also known as lateral communication, and it includes employees who work together in the same area, as well as employees who work at who work in different departments but are at the same level. Horizontal communication is both task-related and informal and occurs between people of equal footing in the hierarchy. In the university setting, this will extend to students at different levels. It is commonly used when employees or peers collaborate on projects. It is an important aspect of communication in universities in that it facilitates efficiency in the workflow. Having clear communication within the team can help to reach university goals effectively. Horizontal communication also allows the flow of information to be more easy between team members, between departments, divisions, etc., regardless of the hierarchy. In the horizontal form of communication, the free flow of messages promotes a less formal communication structure, allowing employees to exchange ideas and strategies with greater dependence. Furthermore, these channels can inspire teamwork. Co-workers speak to, meet with, and ideate alongside people from different departments, allowing them to develop problem-solving strategies more easily. Therefore, universities can use this form of communication to improve problem-solving skills among staff and students, boost creativity in the institution, coordinate teams and tasks easily, empower staff and students, and above all, boost transparency. In addition, there is the creation of a healthier workspace. This communication process can promote a healthy environment as it offers more flexibility and equality in the office. It can lead to stronger institutional morale and individual job satisfaction. Despite the advantages, it has some drawbacks, and this is why large companies generally do not use this more informal communication strategy. When employees communicate with different departments, it can be more challenging for management to know or predict who is strategizing with who. And it makes it difficult for them to control. Horizontal communication without explicit strategies or best used practices can lead to an unruly system. Therefore, in order to maximize the horizontal communication technique for efficiency and at the workplace and wellness, universities should share information freely. This will promote teamwork and a university-wide sense of unity and decrease misunderstandings because the same information is shared with everyone and most especially on time. Now, moving to vertical communication, this is the kind of communication that follows a linear system where information flows from one person to the next based on the hierarchical structure. This type of communication is mostly reserved for sensitive information, or if a university follows a hierarchical structure where information is shared from bottom to top or top to bottom. This includes, for instance, senior management sharing information like budget allocation with the middle management, who then share this with their team. Decisions are made at the top, then the results and outcomes are filtered down. It could also mean the flow of information the other way around, where, for instance, a team works together on a project, and then that team reports to their manager, and then the manager reports to the next hierarchy, right up to the management. Then the managers will use the information that they obtain to come up with policy documents, which are then filtered again to the down level. Therefore, vertical communication can be both downward or upward, depending on the type of information. This type of communication is mostly in written format through emails, reports, memos, etc., to keep track of the information. I think this is the one that is common here at NUL. However, spoken vertical communication is also a significant aspect because it is a more direct form of conveying ideas or messages. So sometimes instead of writing memos, it is easier and maybe even more convenient to report verbally. Vertical communication is good when dealing with sensitive information, like I said. In addition, it helps maintain relationships and mutual respect in the workplace. It makes people aware of the need to go through their team leaders before communicating with their managers. This way, the team leader will appreciate the initiative of the members, which in turn will lead to the strengthening of rapport between the parties. Also, it helps in creating an error-free work since reports go through various hierarchy for scrutiny. It helps the university to stay on track and avoid setbacks. Now, despite these positive aspects, vertical communication has its own drawbacks, which includes the fact that it can sometimes lead to complacency at the workplace, where somebody is thinking, okay, even if I don't do this, when I'll send it to the next person, that person will do it. So they tend to pass the buck, like we say, and say, well, my next boss will take care of that. So that is one of the negative effects of this communication strategy. However, it is one of the strategies that help universities to keep check on the information that is being shared both internally and externally. It goes without saying that universities need to communicate effectively. So while vertical communication is positively related to leader-membership exchange, horizontal communication is positively related to team member exchange. And both are positively related to employee performance. This explains why most often universities embrace a blend of both for effective communication. So we should allow for both the formal and informal way of communicating if we want to have a better working environment so that staff and students don't feel like they are being stifled. Mr. Vice Chancellor, it's time for us to look at social media and global communication. Language is the most important component of national culture, which is shaped together with the formation of an ethnic group as a prerequisite and condition for existence. Language exists in the national, corporate, technical, or electronic areas and functions in terms of defining hierarchies. Language ability and proficiency are essential cultural resources in internationalization and globalization for the implementation of strategic advantages through strategic communication. Many scholars have defined what global communication is all about. For some, global communication is the flow of information, ideas, and cultural expressions among different societies and regions of the world. For others, it involves the transmission of messages, information, and ideas between people and organizations in different parts of the world. Based on the various definitions, one can safely define global communication as the act, this is my definition, as the act of transferring information, ideas, messages between individuals, groups, or a nation that is in a nature that is worldwide and or international. One of the most important aspects of global communication is its function in encouraging cultural interchange and understanding. It enables individuals from all over the world to learn about each other's cultures, values, and ways of life, fostering mutual respect and understanding. It has also aided in the expansion of education by allowing for global sharing of knowledge and resources. In order to trace the evolution of global communication, we will go as far back as when humans were able to exchange information using various means of communication such as gestures, signs, and writing. In the 15th century, the printing press transformed worldwide communication by making it feasible to produce books and other writing materials, making information more freely available. Then came the invention of the telegraph in the 19th century, which was a watershed moment in the history of global communication because it facilitated the speedy transmission of messages over large distances. The introduction of the telegraph was followed by the development of the telephone system and the successful installation of submarine telephone cable in 1956. In 1960, the first telecommunications satellite was introduced, and by 1977, the fiber optic communications system was used. The emergence of radio and television in the 20th century was also critical in the history of global communication, as they enabled individuals to transmit and receive information in real time. Then came recent electronic mail systems such as email, bulletin boards, computer conferencing, and web pages. And finally, the development of modern communication technologies that have given rise to the various social media platforms. These advancements have caused people with different cultural backgrounds around the world to be interconnected locally, regionally, and globally for education, business, travel, and social interactions. Communication technology development has made globalization inevitable and irreversible. The internet makes the most significant contribution to the global interconnectivity. With the extensive use of Web 2.3 interfaces, internet has blurred the line between mass and interpersonal communication and enables both personal and public messages to flow across national boundaries faster and more easily. It has been absorbed into our daily activities and integrated into the routines and structures of domestic life. The transformation of physical settings and social situations due to the usage of internet not only redefines the concepts of space and time, but also creates a global town square in which people can enjoy the freedom of expressions. The trend of globalization, formed by the rapid technology development, is ceaselessly moving into human society in waves. And so, today, increasing interconnectivity is creating corresponding global interdependence among people and societies. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at how social media has recontextualized or is recontextualizing communication or global communication. The importance of social media in communication is a constant topic of discussion. Online communication has brought information to people and audiences that previously could not be reached. It has increased awareness among people about what is happening in other parts of the world. Social media is a powerful communication medium with widespread influence over cities as well as remote areas and has changed the way people communicate. Social media has taken over several sectors, including the businesses and advertising domains, and now the education sector. It has had a long-lasting impact on the way people communicate and has now become an integral part of people's lives. For instance, WhatsApp has redefined the culture of instant messaging and taken it to a whole new level. Today, you can text anyone across the globe as long as you have internet connection. This transformation has not only been brought about by WhatsApp, but also Facebook, Twitter, now X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and others. Movements, advertisements, and products are all being broadcasted on social media platforms thanks to the increase in the number of social media users. Today, businesses rely on social media to create brand awareness as well as to promote and sell their products. It allows organizations to reach customers irrespective of their geographical boundaries. Social media has a great influence on the way we communicate, in that everything including news, is practically just a click away. The ease of access that social media provides has taken over the traditional methods of reading news, communicating, and even studying. Education has incorporated forums and social media chat rooms to increase interactivity among students and staff, conduct webinars, and promote events and courses. Global communication has undergone a profound upheaval as a result of the emergence of social media. The days of just being able to interact with others from other regions of the world through traditional means of communication like letters and phone calls are long gone. We now have access to a wide range of social media platforms and technology, which enable us to instantaneously and simply connect with anyone wherever in the world. The development of social media has been influenced by a wide range of technologies and platforms, making it a rich and diversified area. These new technologies, which range from the telegraph to virtual reality, have had a profound effect on society and will continue to influence how we interact and receive information in the future. Furthermore, the proliferation of social media sites like Facebook, X, and Instagram in recent years have significantly changed how individuals communicate and exchange information. Additionally, these platforms have altered how companies and organizations interact with their clients and the general public. In effect, mobile apps have significantly changed how people get information and interact with one another. These applications have become a vital part of many people's daily lives since they enable users to stay connected and informed at all times. Most recently, the use of virtual reality technology in everything from entertainment and gaming to education and training is gaining popularity. This technology can completely change how we interact with the world around us by enabling users to experience realistic immersion simulations. In the last 25 years, the traditional communication medium has slowly faded from our memories. Do you still remember when we used to use the 100 SMS scheme, where you have a limited number of SMSs that you can make? During that time, because we were limited, we were very selective in the kind of, or in when to send an SMS. You don't just send an SMS for sending sake. But that is not the case today. Today, there are no restrictions, and you can write as many text messages as you want. There are even options for you to edit. Even after sending, you can bring it back and edit and resend and so on and so forth. So things are really changing, and they are changing so fast. The introduction of smartphones and other mobile devices for digital communication means that social media platforms are now in the palms of the users at any time and practically any place. Today, there are a tremendous variety of social networking sites, and many of them can be linked to allow cross-posting. This creates an environment where users can reach the maximum number of people without sacrificing the intimacy of person-to-person communication. Based on the foregoing, one can say that the evolution of social media has been fueled by the human impulse to communicate and by advances in digital technology, which in turn have transformed global communication. It is a story about establishing and nurturing personal connections at scale. Social media, as we see today, has taken a different shape than before. It has grown to become a tale of scaled-up interpersonal connections. Universities are therefore called, Dr. VC, to embrace this new phenomenon in order to be more productive, more visible, and relevant in this changing world of technology. So how then can universities leverage on social media as a tool for strategic communication? That is our subject in section 5. I think we are getting to the end of this long talk. Strategic communication is a specialized approach to distributing and receiving information. It means communicating the best message through the correct channels to the right people at the right time, and using feedback from that process to stay focused on the goals of the institution or organization. It is a method of intentionally delivering calculated and purposeful content. This involved planned tactical foresight and implementation, as well as correct positioning around the mission of the institution. Although the specific activities of institutions and organizations can be conceptualized in various ways, all of these require an organization to communicate purposefully in order to advance its mission. This is the essence of strategic communication. It further implies that people will be engaged in deliberate communication practice on behalf of their organizations and institutions. I hope we at NUL can actually do that. Engage in purposeful communication that will give an image, a positive image of our institution. This organized practice enables the best message, be it internal or external, to be communicated, and means feedback can be monitored against clear-cut organizational and communication targeted goals. Strategic communication provides consistent, relevant information within a company or institution and externally to all stakeholders. The concept of strategy in communication englobes a broader implication of information sharing. Strategy will include a legal framework within which communication is effected. The subcomponents would include statutes and procedures. That's a PVC. Strategy also connotes the specific choices and the underlying reasons for these choices during information sharing. That AVC, what I found out is that we actually do need a strategic communications policy at NUL. The term strategic is associated with power and decision making. When used in conjunction with communication, strategic implies that communication practice is a management function. Universities have several stakeholders, and to reach out to each effectively, there is need to be an intentional strategic communication plan. Strategic communication recognizes that purposeful influence is the fundamental goal of information exchanges by institutions. It is no secret that important changes in public communication are being driven by technology and by media economics. Technology is converging communications channels. With the proliferation of social media platforms comes a flood of messages sent on a daily basis to various individuals on different devices. It is therefore necessary and useful for messages from universities to be strategic. Social media is changing how organizations are communicating with their stakeholders. In order to ensure a positive message or a positive image perception among different stakeholders, there is a need for universities to have effective and coordinated communication policies. The evolving social aim of the university has led to the emergence of new classes of university stakeholders. Some of these include the internal stakeholders that we know, staff and students, external stakeholders who are white, but also third parties. And interestingly, these third parties include artificial intelligence and others. Recognizing this growing list of stakeholders and opportunities for engagement, this lecture encourages African universities to explore strategic communication with stakeholders through various channels, and especially that universities should consider social media as a vehicle for real-time conversation and engagement with stakeholders. Strategic communication processes help universities to effectively communicate and engage with key audiences by distributing compelling and consistent messages. The ideal outcome of such communication promotes the achievement of specific goals and objectives. It aids universities to establish and maintain strong relationships with key participants, build trust in the workplace, and promote transparency and accountability. Similarly, it can be used to guide internal communication advantageously within the university. This can include building support for a particular policy or initiative, shaping public opinion, or managing a crisis. Not only does effective strategic communication make messages visible to specific audiences, it also builds and sustains strong relationships with customers, promoting reliability, responsibility, and accountability. Internally, clear, targeted messaging used to uphold and achieve institutional goals has a positive effect on employee engagement. It can prevent the circulation of erroneous information and empower employees to work from and maintain a single source of truth. And this is imperative for consistent, reliable messaging. There is therefore a need for every university, especially African universities, to have a strategic communications plan. An effective internal strategic communications process also provides the potential for steady, consistent expression of the mission and vision of the university and provides the tools for employees to do so. When leaders and employees communicate around the goals of the university, this exposes the best thinking. In a collaborative workspace where quality of communication flows freely, employees feel engaged, valued, and secure. Externally, customer satisfaction is heightened by tailored communications and services provided by an engaged employee. Quality communication is the backbone of a healthy university culture. Employees are engaged, productivity is increased, and employee turnover reduced. All these contribute to a healthy workplace environment. To utilize the power that effective strategic communication brings to a university, intranets are key. These play a large part in helping to engage employees across the institutions, regardless of their role. Creative communication through videos, contacts, social posts, and others, mail director communications, encourages two-way communication engagement. All in all, a well-planned strategic communications strategy is a critical part of the success of any university. Once in place, universities will be able to monitor the development around targeted communications and use the feedback to adapt and grow to impact progress in the society. This brings us to social media and transformational change in universities. Observers have noted a wide range of positive and negative impacts that come with the use of social media. One of the main advantages of social media is that it can help to improve an individual's sense of connectedness with real or online communities and can be an effective communication tool for institutions, for corporations, for entrepreneurs, non-profit organizations, advocacy groups, political parties, and governments. The domination of Web 2.0 technologies and social media has led Internet users to encounter a vast amount of online exposure, and one of the most important is social networking. Social networking through online media can be understood as a variety of digital sources of information that are created, initiated, circulated, and consumed by Internet users as a way to educate one another about different issues. Universities can thus leverage social media for transformational change and educate the world on their offerings and services. Social media platforms like Facebook and X have drastically enlarged the reach and scope of communication, allowing people all over the world to connect and share information. This has made it simpler for people to stay in touch with friends and family members who live far away, as well as with people who share common interests. These universities can leverage on such platforms. Thus, universities can leverage on such platforms to build a community based on their programs, products, and services. By being involved with the right communities or making a community out of their offerings, universities can create the most loyal of stakeholders. Another way in which social media technologies can help universities is by allowing for real-time communication. Messaging apps like WhatsApp, WeChat, and others have enabled users to interact in real time, regardless of their location. This has made it easier for people to communicate with one another and coordinate plans and activities. Universities are now able to communicate with peers around the world and learn from each other. Social media can also be used by universities to disseminate information and news globally. Many individuals now rely on social networking platforms and messaging applications for information, particularly about current events and news. This has made it easier for people to keep informed about what is happening on the globe and to participate in critical discussions. Almost all news channels have an internet and mobile version through which viewers and listeners can tune in to get news on the go and even contribute to the news by submitting eyewitness reports. Universities can equally exploit social media to hold more and more virtual events and gatherings, in addition to encouraging cultural exchange. Staff and students can now attend meetings, seminars, workshops, and conferences without having to travel to the various places. And this helps universities to save time and also to save money. Google Meet, Zoom, Loom, Lighthouse, Clubhouse, Skype, etc. are a few examples of platforms that epitomize the harnessing of social media for meetings, conferences, events, and global congregation purposes, as well as teaching and learning for the betterment of universities and other institutions. Universities can use social media networking profiles to boost the direct inbound traffic to their websites. They can achieve this, for example, by adding inspiring visuals using plugins and shareable social media buttons, or encouraging inbound linking. Almost 75% of the world industries say they have used social media to drive traffic into their websites. It is indeed an ideal way to create brand awareness and visibility and to stay in contact with customers. So why should universities not leverage this? In addition, universities can make use of social media to develop and maintain professional networks. Thanks to social media and messaging apps such as LinkedIn, university staff can now easily communicate with colleagues and peers from all over the world. This has helped them to broaden their professional networks and stay in touch with others who can help them advance in their careers. So it is important for African universities in particular to encourage their staff to make use of these academic professional websites. Social media platforms and messaging apps have made it simpler for people to interact in their native languages, even if they do not speak the same language. Apps like Google Translate, Duolingo, and Speaky, among others, have made it easy to translate and learn new languages, and this has enabled people all over the world to communicate and exchange ideas and information. Universities in Africa can leverage this to market their offerings and services in different languages to reach diverse groups of people. A good way of leveraging social media is for universities to see it as a means of promoting international collaboration and cooperation. Staff from universities around the world can now collaborate on projects and efforts thanks to social media platforms. This has enabled individuals to collaborate and exchange resources on a worldwide scale. Project management has been immensely improved and globalized with social media. Project management softwares and apps like Zoho Projects, Monday.com, GitHub, Slack, Jira Board, etc. fall under this category. And universities should be able to take advantage of these platforms to increase collaboration and cooperation across the globe. E-learning and distance education can also be facilitated through social media technologies, which allows students from all over the world to access educational resources and participate in classes remotely. Students can now access educational opportunities and complete their studies and get certified, even if they are unable to attend traditional in-person sessions. I'm stressing on this because we in Africa, we think if we are not face-to-face, teaching and learning is not taking place. Audacity, Udemy, Allison.com, edX, LinkedIn, Learning Class Central, Masterclass, etc. are examples of e-learning social media platforms. These platforms were largely leveraged during the COVID-19 pandemic across the world, when many cities were on lockdown and people could not attend school or take physical classes. Social media saved the day as universities, colleges, secondary schools, and even primary schools across the world used it to continue to run their programs, deliver lectures, and administer exams and tests. Social media platforms can also help researchers from all around the world to collaborate and communicate their discoveries, facilitating the interchange of scientific and technical knowledge or technological knowledge. The world of empirical, scientific, and theoretical research has been streamlined and compressed into a single ecosystem through the use of social media technologies. Researchers all over the world can now easily find trends, experts, new voices, data, findings, and recommendations in their fields of research and specialization, as well as collaborate with their peers from different countries. Years of research work from across the globe can now be easily collated, cataloged, mail librarian, put in an e-library, and accessed from anywhere by any interested researcher. Journal publications, peer review, gatekeeping, and standardization have also been made easy. Intellectual fraud and theft in research has been curbed and checked using social media platforms and technology, enabling researchers to build on one another's work ethically and push the boundaries of scientific understanding. In a nutshell, this lecture advocates that social media can be leveraged in numerous ways for transformational change in African universities, from facilitating language translation and virtual exchange programs to promoting and facilitating international research collaborations and business development. Social media technologies have greatly expanded the reach and scope of communication, allowing people from different parts of the world to connect and exchange ideas and information. These technologies have also played a significant role in promoting cultural exchange and understanding, fostering a greater appreciation of other cultures and contributing to a more connected and globalized world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's try to narrow this down to the case of higher education institutions in Lesotho. We are coming to the end. There is a fundamental shift in the education system where the learning environment is becoming decentralized, shifting from instructor and institution to one where learners direct their own learning, building knowledge by engaging in networks away from formal setting and finding their own information. For instance, studies have shown that Facebook is a learning platform. Did we know that? Facebook is a learning platform that makes it possible for students to exchange ideas, enable self-study, give comments, and submit assignments. And that X, which is the former Twitter, does not only increase students' engagement and improve their grades, but also increases collaboration with peers and instructors for deeper interaction. In addition, using X in a classroom environment permits student interaction to be faster and natural, facilitates social presence, sustains discussions after the semester, and permits for the construction of meaning over communication. Generally, students are of the view that Twitter or X assists them to appreciate and acquire course material and attain competency in the subject matter. I'm sure most of us didn't know that. The use of social media by students for academic purpose is also positively affected by the user-friendliness it is associated with, as compared to the complex e-learning sites. We know how sometimes our students struggle to get into our e-learning sites. They'll tell you that I wasn't able to log in, I didn't see the information you said you put there, but if you send them a WhatsApp message, bam, they respond. You send them a Facebook message, they respond. So it is more user-friendly for them than our traditional e-learning sites. Due to this factor, social media has a popularity for educational purposes and contribution to group communication. It can improve communication not only between students and teachers, but also between students. The latter can use social networks to talk to each other about different things like upcoming exams, an assignment, and so on and so forth. They can get details from their classmates about the material to be covered in a particular test or a particular exam, and so on. If students are having trouble with a particular topic, they can go to their classmates on social networking sites for help, and thus successfully increase interactivity among themselves. I remember before COVID forced us to embrace social media, when you give students group work, it is never a group work. It is an individual work. One person will do it for all of them, and then they write their names. Because one, they will say it was difficult for them to meet. They are in different parts, and having time to actually meet is a problem, even though that was an excuse. Now there is no such excuse because they can meet at midnight, they can meet at 1 a.m., at 3 a.m., at whatever time through social media. Studies have shown that the successful implementation of any learning experience depends on many things, one of which is effective communication between teachers and their students. The closer the relationship between teachers and students, the more likely teachers are able to help students learn quickly and at a high level. Before social media, students see us only in class, and once in a while, when they are opportune to meet us in offices, because we are most often not in our offices. Remember, we are researchers, so we can be in the libraries. We also do community service, so we can be in the communities doing community service. So when they are opportune to meet us in offices, they can see us and consult. If not, when we meet in class. But now, they write to us even at midnight when we are sleeping, they text. And some of us who love our job so much, we love what we do, we find ourselves replying even at midnight, So social media has made communication between students and staff much more easier. Again, social media is easily available for the dissemination of important course information to students and get them more engaged in educational activities. It is not a secret that social features of social media resources have attracted the attention of millions of people around the world. These same features can therefore be used to draw students' attention to the learning opportunities available. Using tools like Google App for Education will allow students to have access to valuable information, to valuable learning resources, regardless of time and space. Collaborative and participatory tools like wikis, Google Docs, etc., can encourage students to become active participants or even co-produce rather than passive consumers of content. I can attest that when you engage with students online through social media, they are more active and participate more than when you are with them in class. In class, you ask them a question, they look at you. Have you understood? They look at you. But on social media, you ask them, is it clear? No, madam, can you explain how this other one that you said? But in class, they don't do that. So let's go to them where they learn better, where they are free to express themselves, so that teaching and learning can actually take place. It is not by talking to them and they are watching, like you are watching me now. I'm not sure whether you are getting what I'm saying or not. In addition, content creation poses another challenge. Universities in the developed world showcase their facilities, campuses, and students having a good time around their campus. However, this is a challenge with African universities in general and institutions of higher learning in Lesotho in particular, with regard to what they can showcase. The institutions are facing funding challenges, and their facilities are often in poor state, which cannot be showcased. This lecture recommends that higher education institutions in Lesotho be equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, and that funding be increased and diversified. I didn't say that the government should increase. I just said funding should be increased and diversified. How we increase it is something else. Maybe the BESA will know how we do that. There is also the issue of limited technical skills and low internet bandwidth in higher education institutions in Africa as a whole, and Lesotho in particular. Africa is still considered as an emerging market, with the rate of internet penetration still quite low as compared to her Western counterparts. While the universities are willing to engage, the challenges of internet bandwidth inhibit the stakeholders, especially the prospective students who have limited access to the internet. This is the case with Lesotho higher education institutions. There is therefore need for the internet bandwidth to be increased to meet the needs of higher education institutions in Lesotho. Another militating factor against the full adoption of social media for teaching and learning and strategic communication in higher education institutions in Lesotho is the issue of inappropriate language. Some lecturers are of the view that the introduction and growth of social media has fueled bad language among students, ranging from syntax, spelling, to vocabulary. This is because the textual online content of social media is often misspelled, informal, and highly unstructured. In fact, some social media platforms have created their own new meta language, which has altered the English language to some extent, and this negatively affects academic writing. Mayhead English, I'm not sure how you're going to deal with this, but to mitigate this negative effect, I propose that higher education institutions in Africa should have clear guidelines on the usage of social media. This will help students to understand the kind of language that they need to communicate with when it comes to academic activities. There is also the problem of internet availability and connectivity, which is related to the bandwidth also, in that both staff and students sometimes are unable to access internet. So there is also need for this to be taken care of. Similarly, most staff and students need computer support, training, and skills, which come at a high cost. They need technical skills to enable them configure, maintain, and troubleshoot their devices so that they can connect, share, chat, save, and upload information. Both educators and learners need training in order to evaluate and boost their abilities to use available social media platforms for teaching and learning. Therefore, IT support desk systems should assist students in this particular area. I hope Mayor ICT, Director ICT is here to get that. It is thus recommended in this lecture that the ICT departments of various higher education institutions in Lesotho should play a vital role in training staff and students on the use of social media for strategic communication, which includes teaching and learning. It is further recommended that higher education institutions in Lesotho should rethink the adoption of social media platforms for strategic communication with all stakeholders and put in place policies and guidelines for its adoption and usage. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we get to the conclusion. This lecture recognizes the importance of social media in communicating with stakeholders, and that for effective communication to take place, it is essential to identify the key players within the communication cycle. A university has many stakeholders with varying interests and commitments. Thus, identifying the right communication media for a specific stakeholder is essential to elicit stakeholder engagement. For instance, there are communications geared towards prospective students and their parents. The aim of communicating with these stakeholders is to recruit students. Universities may use their social media profile to provide prospective students with and their parents with relevant information that they can use to make an informed choice. For prospective students, this may include the support available for filling out the application form, may registrar, invitation to open day, comments and testimonies from present students, sharing images of the campus and the student life, sharing the story of successful alumnus, etc. This also includes an opportunity for the prospective students to ask questions and engage through messengers, chatbot, or reply to comments or tweets. So we should be present on social media. Similarly, there are communications geared towards stakeholders who are already within the university. These are the staff and students. the present or the current staff or students, in particular the students, are considered to be the most significant stakeholders in the university. They need to know everything that is happening in the university, the events, the activities that are going on campus. The students need to be aware. They need to be informed in case of emergencies, for instance, or in case of any activity that that has direct impact on their well-being. Likewise, staff need to be engaged with as part of these particular stakeholders. This includes sharing the research activities and achievements of the staff on social media. In addition, there are communications that aim at stakeholders that need to be updated about the progress within the university. These include alumni who need to know what is going on within the university and how best they can contribute back to assist the university. Besides, you have funders, you have research partners, and other key stakeholders who need to be updated about the activities of the university. These are a group of stakeholders that have interest in the university and can contribute positively to its well-being. It is essential to recognize that these stakeholders have different expectations from the university, and the university should be able to communicate with them almost at personal level, which includes sharing information that is relevant to each group. For instance, a prospective undergraduate student may not find tweets about the latest research publication of a staff relevant compared to a tweet that speaks to an open day, for instance. So while recognizing that there is a broad spectrum of stakeholders, universities need to understand that their presence on social media is not just for marketing purposes, but for engagement. This lecture is thus advocating for a dialogical engagement between the university and its stakeholders. Some scholars have presented a glossary of 7 social media platforms used in universities for stakeholders engagement. These include Facebook, Twitter or X, WhatsApp, YouTube. I don't know why they moved from Twitter to X. Twitter sounded more than X, I don't know. YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and Instagram. These different platforms remain strategic because they have diverse outreach, different options on how to input content, and pieces of legislation that regulate their usage in order to guarantee privacy rights, authenticity of information, and physical and moral integrity of users. So not all social media platforms accept any garbage in, garbage out. There are those platforms which are very concerned with authentic information, which can guarantee privacy, and which can make sure that the information that is there is of moral integrity. I therefore advocate through this lecture that these platforms be adopted by in our African context with clear guidelines on their usage. It is worth emphasizing that universities in Europe, the USA, and Asia are far ahead of their African counterparts in the field of digitalization and the acceptance of technologies in education. They have realized that social media is a powerful and effective way to promote their activities and thus improve the sector, especially at this time when universities in different parts of the world are facing increasing competition. This lecture is thus recommending that African universities should strongly consider the use of social media in the higher education sector, both for strategic communication and teaching and learning based on clear policy guidelines. I recognize the fact that African universities may face specific challenges vis-a-vis social media adoption and usage, but this can be mitigated with the implementation of best practices for social media communication strategies. In view of various technological evolutions and the expansion of teaching using technology that is more and more adapted to realities, and in view of the ever-increasing rivalries between universities and higher education institutions, it has become imperative for universities, especially those in Africa, to review the method used to implement cutting-edge communication strategies so that they can better position themselves in the minds of their stakeholders, regardless of the geographical area in which they are located. Building an active and strong community through social media is an ideal option if African universities want to attract more students and retain them so that they can, in turn, spread the reputation of the university. Through social media, African universities will perfect the experiences of their students since they will adapt to the realities and tools they use widely. They will also improve their communication with former students and other stakeholders, and thus increase the development of their brand. Social media for transformational and strategic communication is therefore the way to go for African universities. Thank you very much, Kelly. Mr. Vice Chancellor, allow me to acknowledge people that I am indebted to, several people and even institutions who have been part of my academic journey. I actually lack the eloquence and the expression to express my appreciation to these people, both friends and foes. You know, sometimes your foes don't know that they are helping you to grow or to, so I acknowledge all. I will begin by thanking God because for everything, I can't even say. In a special way, I want to acknowledge the robust education that was given to me by my parents. My late father was an educationist himself, and he made it a policy. I will say a policy because those were his words, that all his children, we were 8 of us, we are now 6 of us. He said all his children will go to school and that it doesn't matter whether he and his wife are not going to be able to eat or even have clothes to wear. And in his own words, he said, I won't mind if my wife and myself have to walk naked for you people to go to school. You all will go to school. And he did just that. It's unfortunate that he is not here, but I know he is very happy where he is. And Yeah, I just want to tell him that I love him. I would have loved for him to be here today, but I know he is there. I appreciate my mom. I know that children always say, you are the best mom. You are the best mom, even if we are not the best. But this woman, I don't even know how I can describe her. If I remember the sleepless nights that she had during those years, she used to wake up at about 3 a.m. to prepare food, which she was supplying to construction sites where she had some contracts, breakfast and lunch. So she will wake up around 3 a.m. to prepare those things so that they can be ready to be delivered at the right time. Just because she had to make extra money to assist her husband so that we can go to school. And I remember when I was to go to the university, when I passed, in fact, when I wrote my advanced level, my father had confidence in me somehow that I will pass. So he didn't have money for me to go to the university. Immediately we finished writing, he started looking for money. And until the results came out, there wasn't any money for me to go to the university. So my mother, she worked day and night, making sure that she assists her husband. And I don't know what to say, but she knows. She knows that I love her. Her love and her prayers for her children. She's a very prayerful woman. And those have sustained us, and they keep sustaining us. She's not here, but she's watching. My children, Leticia and King. King is right here. Leticia is in the US. She's watching. These two, there are no words that can describe a mother's love for her children. But they know that I love them. They are the reason I'm working hard to give them a better future. And the two of them actually rock my world. So continue to be the loving and obedient children that you are, and God will take you to places. I want to appreciate my siblings, all of them, including the two that have gone. Like I said, my mom used to do this business. Interestingly, I was the only one who was not involved in this business. I don't know how it happened. But these other siblings, including my elder sister who was passed on, they were all involved. So when my mom gets up at that time, most of them, the three girls we were 8 of us, like I said, it's four boys, 4 girls. The 3 other girls will get up with my mom and they will be assisting. Then the boys in the morning, I remember my junior brother the last one was still very young, maybe 5 years or so, but he was also part of it. They will get up, the girls will be helping, and then the boys will carry the food in the morning to go to those construction sites. And they were all there assisting. They are watching, all of them are watching. And I just want to assure them that as their eldest now, there is nothing that can break the bond of love that we share. Yes. There are people who also come into your life, families, friends, who come in your life, whom God sends for specific reasons. I want to, in a particular way, appreciate you, John Paul, for being a strong support system. And I know that you are also watching from Italy, and I pray that the good Lord will continue to bless you. I'm heavily indebted to my teachers from primary school to the university for the excellent job they all did at their various levels. It is thanks to their formal and informal training that I am who I am today, standing here and talking to you. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. I'm eternally grateful to all the spiritual leaders I have known for the immense spiritual impact in my life. Sometimes, not even sometimes, we can't do it on our own. We need divine guidance and intervention. And I'm grateful that I had spiritual leaders, and I still have spiritual leaders in my life who are helping me to navigate some of the challenges that life throws at us. I want to thank them all. I want to thank NUL for giving me an enabling environment to teach, conduct research, and improve on my skills. I am grateful for the opportunities I was given to attend conferences, workshops, and seminars that accumulated into research publications. I also want to thank my alma mater, the University of Yaoundé 1, where I started my academic career as a graduate assistant. This experience opened several doors for me. I thank the University of Burundi for giving me the first experience of working outside my country of birth. The experiences that I had there helped me and are still helping me to cope with certain challenges. I am grateful to all my colleagues and administrative staff of NUL for their support and encouragement. In particular, I want to thank the executive management, my dean, and my head of department for being so supportive of this lecture. I thank all those I have collaborated with in research. I can see some of them are here. I see Dr. Tube, I see Professor Kolobe, and others. I want to appreciate you all for a peaceful, intellectual, and healthy collaboration. And to my students, I can see some of them here. I thank you for your encouraging feedback and genuine love. I am grateful to all my friends, far and near, whose genuine affection and love has sustained and encouraged me. To you all who are watching online in different parts of the world, accept my sincere appreciation for your support and encouragement. And to you all, distinguished audience here present, thank you for taking time to listen to me. It was a very long lecture, but you didn't show signs of boredom, and this kept me going. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Molloy. I'm sure that it's maybe only the people in the English department can understand what I'm feeling by your presence. She was more than a colleague. I never even call her a colleague. She was my mentor, and she is still my mentor, a mother to all of us in the department. And that is why we can never be weaned from the breastfeeding. We still breastfeed from her. Thank you so much. I am so delighted that it turns out to be my mentor and mother who is going to be the respondent to this lecture. Thank you, Ndate PVC, for making that choice. And finally, I would like to end by once more thanking the Almighty God for seeing me thus far. My standing here today is a testimony that God is the one who can truly bring meaning into our lives and situations. To him be all the glory and praise. As we come to the end of this lecture, I leave you with a song that I love so much, and which I would like you to sing with me, because it is my day. Let's try. When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is gone, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done.
Prof, the communication was clear and surprising. I didn't know you would sing. PVC, please make it easy for me and introduce and present the respondent of the day, the mother of them all, Professor William.
Yeah. 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 Thank you very much, Madam Registrar. Thanks so much, Prof. B. We can only say yeah. If you don't know what it means, we shall teach you this afternoon. Madam Registrar, you have requested me to introduce Prof. Moloi. I'm not very sure whether it is proper to introduce the mother of the institution to the children. She is our mother. She brought us up in academia. She brought up not only our bride today, but she brought up the entire Faculty of Humanities, the entire university, so to speak. But that notwithstanding, professionally, I just have to do it. A couple of days ago, I was looking around for a professor who would come and play the role of a discussant. or a respondent. And I approached one of the most senior professors in the university, whose name I conveniently forget. He whispered to me to say, yeah, look around. There are so many senior professors here. But then he and I agreed that notwithstanding, we need a professor who would be able to understand what Prof B is going to talk about. We can invite any one of you to come and speak, and you will waffle and waffle. But that's not the essence of the assignment. So I had to go back. I called Prof B to my office, and I said, hey, who do you think we can lay our hands on? Now I'm telling Prof Moloi because I didn't tell her that. And she said, I don't know, but I wish Prof Moloi were here. I said, oh, really? I said, yeah. I said, okay, let me contact her. You know, when I contacted her, I started behaving like a lawyer. Say, yeah, you know how when I want to lure you into, you know, she was so happy. She was saying, I said, you know why I'm contacting you? She said, no, look, one of your babies will be presenting an inaugural lecture next week, Friday. I am not going to request you to go and make any long presentations. But I think even if you were to just rise and say, my baby, I appreciate what you are doing and what you have done. And then even before I could even finish, she was saying, that is my mentee. I mentored her. I said, really? I said, would you please? Then she said, no, I won't let you down. And again, she said, you never phone me. And today when you called me, I was wondering what is going on. And I apologize for. From today onwards, I will constantly call you and say, how are you? But it also said to us that this is an opportunity that we should never lose. We need to have a club of all professors of this university. We need to come together with a policy that will ensure that they are constantly on board. Even when they have left the university, aside from conferring emeritus status on them, but we need to make sure that they feel part and parcel of the institution. This is the idea. Prof. Moloi, would you please come and say whether your mentee was making any sense? I'm just wondering whether when she was, intermingling technological communication with what you may have taught, I was just asking myself. But anyway, who am I to say that? Kindly approach the podium and say a word or two as a discussant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Quite well understood that I'm one of the latest. I still have a red pen in my hand. And of course, I don't have any slides to show. So I think I belong to this age. First of all, I would like to congratulate Professor Ekanjume, affectionately and fondly, also known as Sister Boss in the Department of English. I want to congratulate her on the preparation and presentation of her inaugural lecture. It was a well-researched presentation, and a lot of work has gone into it. Sister Boss, no more sleepless nights. It is done. It is in the past. Congratulations. And just as Professor Ekanjume began with the definition of an inaugural lecture, I would like to remind the audience about the role of a discussant in a situation such as this one. It is a simple one. A discussant helps those in the audience to better understand the paper, especially a technical paper like this one. A discussant highlights the implications of the presentation for the society based on the ideas raised in the session or presentation. So here and there, you'll hear me using her own words. The paper defines communication as an interaction and a sharing of ideas among individuals or group members. It goes on to show that to understand the perspective of the other person, the sender encodes the message and the receiver of that message decodes and reacts to it. He or she may give feedback, or she may want to say something, even if it is not a direct feedback. In that case, then the sender of the initial message becomes the receiver of the message. In other words, as she said, communication has not taken place until what we communicate reaches the intended audience and possibly makes some kind of a stir in the mind of the listener. This is according to her transmission model of communication, one of the 5 models that she described. As she mentioned, the reaction may not be verbal, but it can be observable through an adoption of the innovation, through some cues, through one's body language, and possibly it can even be reinforced, either positively or negatively. An improvement may be made on the individual depending on the context of communication. What context? Context such as the culture, the environment, the social milieu, and the message itself, according to the social learning theory, which is another model that she described. Throughout today's presentation, Professor Ekanjume kept on referring to effective communication, especially towards the end, which I interpreted as the reduction of being misunderstood. She said that this can be achieved through active listening, for which we need a lot of training, some of us, so that the output may be similar to the input that we got from the speaker. Practicing active listening to others, and in our case, those others will include students, lecturers, colleagues, superiors, and supervisors, may help us to communicate effectively. That whatever it is communicating a message to us. I was allocated 15 minutes. I may make it shorter to respond to that communication. Being involved or being preoccupied with other things is likely to block one's listening skills and communication. Other distractions include multitasking, as you remember her saying. But there are other things that can help us listen more attentively and benefit from the listener. These include asking questions, and I need not explain what that is, paraphrasing on the part of both the sender and the receiver of the message, respect through one's tone, one's choice of words, one's choice of phrases. Phrases, no, in fact, this is not from me, but from Catherine and Ross Petras. They say that phrases such as, I really don't mean to brag, imply that you really want to brag. Or when someone says to you, tells you something, and then you say, well, I already know about that. Doesn't everyone know that? Means that we are dismissing the other person's message as useless. Here's another common one. No offense, but it does really not lessen the offense that you are making. It just says, pay more attention to my insulting tone. Another one of those examples is, you probably don't know this. How condescending can anything be? Or finally, if I were you, I would da, 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 da. I mean, you are not me. You are intrusive. I have my own opinion. Okay. Professor Ekanjume herself emphasized the role of empathy in communication. The Petras recommend seeking the experiences and opinions of one's peers instead of focusing only on one's opinion. Everyone has insights, and I think we deserve one another's attention. And we can achieve this through mindful communication as the key factor in maintaining professionalism. I mean, what would I feel if someone said to me, if I were you, I would do such and such? It means that I'm talking nonsense. Another way of reinforcing our communication at that level is perhaps by using inclusive language, such as we instead of I, and our instead of my. She explained flexibility, and in addition to that, I think I'll mention register. That also counts and makes an impact. Coming to universities, the paper reminds us that communication from universities challenges the political, the economics, and other sectors' status quo. It is sensitive. Communication from a university is sensitive. to the local as well as the global political influence and economic needs. She introduced lateral and vertical or hierarchical communication and advices of their positive implementation through the relatively new tools and methods of social media and improved networks, whose benefit I realized more during the time of COVID-19. And I must say, it may be negative, it is negative, we lost a lot of relatives, but it also had some advantages in influencing some of us BBTs. Through one of these media that she mentioned was artificial intelligence, and the various other social media, some of them I heard for the first time today. But they are and should be very, very familiar to all of us so that we can want to be connected. Within a university structure, she referred to communication through and from and to individuals, departments, boards, various boards of the university, senate, council, upwards and downwards, and mentioned how various channels can facilitate vertical communication and holding communication within these levels accountable. The modern technologies and their dictation of the mode of communication in terms of language, manner, vision, mission, etc., are presented as the facilitators of the flow of information among the countries of the world. They expand knowledge, they expand resources. They differ from the objects of the past that were used to send messages. And here I refer to objects such as smoke, drums, various sounds which were used. The latest and later social media, such as the ones that she enumerated, Twitter and others, develop, transform, and spread rapidly. Their speed, advantages and disadvantages are innumerable. They promote interpersonal communication while also using person-to-person communication. The last part of the presentation focused on Lesotho. It makes observations on Lesotho's reluctance to use networking facilities to do its work. The lecture recommended funding and networking for the benefit of academic work in higher education institutions. It recommends an increase in the bandwidth and diversification of funding. It recommends accessibility to the internet and training for strategic communication. It encourages communication with parents, prospective students, and other stakeholders through the social media. To wrap up my discussion, allow me to point out that communication is not only how we deliver a message, but it also involves some efforts to build trust. And we got that also from her lecture. To listen effectively, to cultivate accountability, to take strides to improve the way we interact and engage with other teams. Here's a simple example. A mere hello to someone can say a lot to you. That person continues to do something on his phone, or when he responds, but does not even lift his head. That kind of gesture, that kind of action is equal to shut up and sit down.
Prof. Mulay, thank you. The message was loud and clear. And I'll be watching everybody as I greet them. Vice Chancellor, you were listening, I'm sure. We are going to listen to you now. Closing remarks. And we want to hear you. You will help us hear the right things. Over to you, VC.
Thank you very much. Hey, it's been a long day, and the time has been so usefully spent. Let me align myself with the protocols that have been established so that we save time. You are all specially recognized. I've been given 15 minutes to say these closing remarks, but I might be spending far less than that, so that we make sure that the communication is still effective and that people will not begin to display what we call rejection behavior, even as I go on. It affords me a great pleasure to make these remarks at the end of the presentation and discussion of the 5th inaugural lecture of the National University of Lesotho, the University of First Choice, and the nation's pride. With an unrepentant attitude of gratitude, I wish to give glory to God for this opportunity and to show appreciation to the Most High God for recent positive trends in the university. This event is a manifestation of an aspect of our vision for this administration. It is so good to see how gradually the lost traditions of our university are being regained. I wish to appreciate the Pro-Vice Chancellor for accepting to include this project in his work plan for 2023. You know, it's one thing for the VC to say, let's do it. It's another thing for the PBC to agree to do it. This activity falls squarely in his domain. And if he had said no, I would have been a very sad man today. I want to especially appreciate the inaugural lecturer, Professor Beatrice Ekanjume, Professor of Linguistics, for making it happen in a big way. Please, can we put a round of applause for her? Distinguished audience, we have just listened to a very strategic lecture on the subject matter of recontextualizing communication, leveraging social media to effect transformational change in African universities. But let me take you a little bit away from this place. Let me take you to the United Nations. In the calendar of the United Nations this week, specifically 16th of November, contains events such as the International Day for Tolerance, that's number one. World Philosophy Day, number 2, and World Fast Food Day, number 3. Now you will see how today's inaugural lecture coincidentally speaks to each of these 3 UN events. This I would like to show in my reflections on the lecture that you have just received. Allow me to simply retitle this lecture as Uses and Abuses of Social Media in the Context of African Universities. Recent and evolving advances in ICT has availed higher institutions several functionalities for the social media. Entertainment, that is what our young ones would like to use it for. But we also know now that we have to use it for teaching, for assessment, for recruitment of students, for giving feedback to stakeholders, and the like. Well, let me emphasize the degree to which strategic communication can be used to promote the web ranking of higher institutions. And you will understand why I'm emphasizing the issue of web ranking. In the words of the inaugural lecturer, communication is effective when the listener registers a signal that his or her attention is attracted. For an institution, therefore, it is important to recognize the number of people within our stakeholder set who are listening to us. In other words, how large is our audience? In the specific case of the university website, allow me to share experience from my other institution. We made a creative use of social media to drive traffic to the website. In ICT parlance, traffic in this sense simply means visitors that were attracted to the site. And of course, the more the number of visitors, the better the rank. Thus, the population of visitors to the website is what actually determines the web rank, rather than the quality of the infrastructure. It is the visitors, not the quality of the infrastructure. It is not even the relevance of the offered curricula or the sophistication of institutional pedagogy. So what did we do in my other university? Traffic was driven to the website by linking my personal 5,000 strong followers on my Facebook page to the university website. That's what the lecturer called plugging in. You plug in so that every other person who has been to my Facebook page automatically gets to the website of the university. And this is what happened. Today, the rest is history. At the end of the first year, the web rank had become number 3 among the over 100 private universities in Nigeria. And in the third year, we climbed to number 1 in our category. And when we considered all the public and private universities together, we became number 9. And in the whole of Africa, we became number 60. I'm saying this because I want it to happen here. I am still encouraging our ICT department to adopt this strategy. I have discussed this severally with them. It is doable. I am happy that the lecturer now said 75% of institutions and organizations around the world are using this to drive their business. I know that one day it will happen here. So with about 9,000 current students and an estimated 50,000 alumni to pay direct or indirect visit to the NUL website once in a week, just once in a week, through their individual social media handles, very soon we shall be within the first 10 in the SADC. Distinguished audience, the lecturer has outlined several uses of social media. But allow me to spend a few minutes to draw highlighted attention to some of the abuses of this global innovation called social media, also within the content of the lecture that we have just received. First, artificial intelligence has been deployed in several celebrated cases to distort information, to change the messages in audio, to alter video and other media, to be used as destructive political or financial weapons. Envious enemies and unscrupulous political competitors may place the faces of their victims in a picture using picture and other artificial intelligence tools for sinister motives like blackmail, extortion, and other embarrassing scenarios. For this reason, leaders of higher institutions, like other public figures, are advised to exercise serious caution, I'm using the word of the lecturer, and mitigate all exposures to social media. That is the reason you will not find me on social media. The embarrassment can be very, very serious. But you would see me having a large followers. Those followers are following me, and anywhere I go, they go. So when I go to the website of the Inaugural, they also go there. But you will never see me making comments, because anything you say will be used against you. Secondly, another abuse. There's a latent danger of spreading and endorsing fake news on social media. There are security and legal implications to being an accomplice in crime situations. Aside, immigration authorities now interrogate social media accounts as part of their evaluation of your applications for entry visas. Let's be careful. Thirdly, the increasing adoption of AI tools in academic work is leading to serious concerns about the credibility of academic papers, according to Professor Ekanjume. Now with ChatGPT software, an entire thesis, PhD thesis, or master's dissertation can be outlined, leading to an encouragement of laziness in the academic space. We have a responsibility, again I use the word of the lecturer, to be more vigilant now than ever before to assure quality and the credibility of our degrees and diplomas. Finally, the fourth abuse. The allure and convenience of social media leads to abuse by individuals who have an issue with their emotions and are unable to show respect to other users. In some cases, social platform group platforms have become the space for people to demonstrate verbal violence as indicators of their political sagacity and activism, to the admiration of their followers or the dismay of other group members who may not be impressed by the sheer display of intolerance and lack of emotional intelligence skills. This week, the UN is celebrating the International Day for Tolerance. I'm sure you'll be wondering, why is this guy going back to the UN? United Nations is the space where I have spent quality time as external consultant. So I'm very much aware of what is happening on a daily basis at the United Nations. So yesterday, November 16, it was the International Day for Tolerance. It is observed to educate people about the need for tolerance in society and to help them understand the negative effects of intolerance. It is advisable that the International Day for Tolerance be devoted to learn about respecting and recognizing the rights and beliefs of others. That was alluded to by our lecturer. It is also a time of reflection and debate on the negative effects of intolerance. Live discussions and debates are taking place this week at the United Nations, focusing on how various forms of violence injustice, oppression, racism, and unfair discrimination have a negative impact on society and must be avoided in our workplace communications as we strive to transform our universities in Africa. Distinguished audience, allow me to celebrate the 5th inaugural lecturer of the Inaugural, Professor Beatrice Ekanjume, for giving this lecture this week. In the UN calendar, November 16 is also the World Philosophy Day. And you can see our lecturer has philosophized. This is a day that's designated to honor philosophical reflections around the world. It's a day for people to share thoughts, openly explore and discuss new ideas, and inspire public debate or discussion on society's challenges. Our lecturer has fulfilled this philosophical role. She has philosophized with dexterous accuracy. From the few reflections I have offered, you can see the practical relevance of this lecture to the current situation of the National University of Lesotho. She has charged us to come up with a strategic communication policy, and I will say on behalf of management, that is done. She has charged us to increase our internet bandwidth, and I make bold to say that from 155 megabytes, which does not drive anything, we are moving to 500 megabytes at the Roma campus. And we are moving from 0 to 100 megabytes at EMs. The ball is in the court of Mayor Bossa. We are still at attendance board, but I know you make it happen. The lecturer has charged us to come up with platforms to be adopted. And I say that indeed we shall explore, we shall adopt all those platforms. She has used the theory, the diffusion of innovation theory extensively. And I bear good testimony that indeed what she has outlined for us here are all doable because we have other organizations to watch to see how far they have gone, to interrogate their challenges, to look at their solutions, and to learn from them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm now that Professor Beatrice Ekanjume has creditably discharged our obligation to this university to give a lecture that inaugurates her to the club of full professors, and I so declare. Congratulations and welcome to this exclusive club. I hope you will also give an exaugural lecture on your retirement. Promised? Very good. Now let me use this opportunity to encourage other full professors who have indicated to me their readiness for their inaugural lectures. We want to celebrate you too. Let me quickly be able to pass your names to Ngadi PVC to celebrate you just like we have celebrated Prof B, Sister Boss. Give me other names. Now, lest I forget, this week at the UN, we celebrate Fast Food Day. Thus, let me tell you how we are going to demonstrate that. Fast Food Day. The Pro Vice Chancellor has been so kind to provide fast food for everyone. To mark today's celebration, please don't go without refreshing with some fast finger foods. Really, boy. Yes. That.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor. You were given 15 minutes.
And I spent 10 minutes.
And you promised to take less.
And then?
I think less means you promised to take a different time. 15 minutes. Because you took 16 minutes, 52 seconds, and 58. It's not bad. It's not bad. Thank you. Thank you. Announcements, just an explanation maybe of the last item on the program. Yes, I didn't know the refreshments were fast food, but yes, they are available in the reading room. Esaya, you said? In the reading room, not so far from here. But before we go for fast food, we'll take a series of pictures in front of the main admin block where the well-known university building will be visible on our pictures. And the last VIP guest on my program, just on mine, not yours, is King. King is here. He's the man of the house in the Ekanjume Longo household. And as, yes, you have to come out. And pictures, please. No, let me not steal the show. Dean first says I do. Let me take a picture. We don't see anything. Father Mudume, was it an opening and closing?
Yes, at the same time.
At the same time. Thank you very much. We go out for the picture. Oh, Prof. Ekanjume. You do it for a job, right? So it's easy.
Heavenly Father, we have reached the end of this inaugural lecture event, which has been so invigorating, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And we can see our future clear in front of our eyes. We ask you to bless all these plans and intentions of our institution, having just been inspired by the inaugural lecturer, our full professor, Beatrice Ekanjume Ilongo. May you bless her abundantly so that she continues to be fruitful and bless our university even more, with more input, and the output will show. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. May the Lord be with you all. The Almighty God bless you. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.